Hello, friends. This is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, and I've just got to say that I recently finished a book I think you may be interested in. Star Wars, The Princess and the Scoundrel. Now, I gotta say, when I first heard about this book, I thought it was a remake of something else, and I just wasn't interested. But it actually was surprisingly fun. It is a brand new series or a brand new installment of the Star Wars legend or canon. This is not Legends material. It does get rid of some Legends material. There's some things that this definitely cuts out of the whole Star Wars old storyline. But interestingly enough, this is a solid mix. Now, as always, I do a lot of my Star Wars audiobooks listening, or I do a lot of my Star Wars book connecting, reading via Audible, right? I love Audible. I use a couple other apps, just local library apps, but this is the one that I use most of the time. Love it. I love the quality, and I always know that I'm going to get some pretty quality stuff. But the audiobook, solid stuff. Now, here's the storyline. It is a day or so after the Battle of Endor. Everybody's celebrating. Next day, everybody wakes up with like a hangover from like Ewokian moonshine. And there's a moment between Han and Princess Leia, and they're just sitting there talking, and everything's going on. Leia's smelling the ashes of like the Death Star, and her, just realized her father's, corpse just over here in the woods somewhere because Luke burned Vader's body, and she's dealing with that whole thing. And it's like the first moment of peace. Everyone's celebrating, and Han's like, hey, marry me. And Leia's like, ha. Okay. And it's their storyline of the marriage, right? I mean, keep in mind, this is shortly after Han has been frozen in carbonite. Leia has spent an entire year, working to get him. There's a lot of stuff that's like going on, right? And so Han is like, he's like the classic dashing romantic man. Like, he's like, I'm going to sweep you off your feet, future plans be damned kind of a thing. And he goes after Princess Leia, and she's like, yay, right? Neither of them think this through. It's wonderful how it goes off. So as they're going and doing their stuff, they're planning the wedding. Lando throws them like a bachelor party, which gets crashed by Ewoks, which is hilarious. The Ewoks end up, what do you call that? Like standing over, surveying, performing. That's the word I'm looking for. Performing the marriage ceremony. It's like, it's pretty awesome. Like, it's weird because you're reading about something that like is kind of a blip in the history, right? It's kind of like this blip in the storyline. It's like, oh yeah, they got married, by the way, and then, 9 months later, baby Kylo destroys everything. What happens is Han, he's planning like, yeah, we're gonna go park the Millennium Falcon out in the middle of space for a couple of days and send Chewie away, and Leia and I will go do some stuff. And then Leia hasn't even thought about it. She's like, I'm not even going to plan the honeymoon because there's so much stuff to do, and I'm Princess Leia, and I'm the most important person ever. Mothma, right, is like, look, Leia, we can handle this. Go spend a week on the Halcyon. Now, you guys might not know the Halcyon. It's that really expensive hotel that, Disney and Disney parks are trying to, thwart on people, push on people. To be completely honest, I want to go. It sounds awesome. But this is the story of the Halcyon, right? So they go onto the Halcyon, and it's so much fun, and everyone, and and part of the reason why I didn't want to read this is because when I originally heard of the book, I originally heard that this was going to be taking place on the Star Cruiser. I was like, okay, this is just it's a big ad for a hotel that's sinking, right? That's not doing as well as it probably could and or should. Granted, it costs like $4,000 for a 2-night stay. That's besides the point. people will pay it. People have been paying it, but again, that's besides the point. I was just thinking, I was like, this is going to be that story. This is going to be a story of their cruise and stuff, and it's not really. And I was honestly flabbergasted that it wasn't. I was shocked that this was its own unique story. And so the story is they go on this cruise, and then Leia's trying to find sneaky ways to do work, and then Han accidentally stumbles upon a plot to kidnap Leia. It's not a real plot because the guy who's doing it's kind of like down on his luck. He was a former Imperial person who had built this like hyperdrive system, or he had built this technology that the Empire was gonna use and had been using, and so on and so forth. It was wonderful, but then the Empire got blowed up, and he's out of luck. And Han just so happens to stumble upon this guy in a game of Sabacc, and it goes downhill from there. He's pretends to throw him out of an airlock. It's a whole thing. But in doing so, they end up stumbling upon this other Imperial remnant that is still kind of doing their thing. I don't want to like ruin anything, because if you're going to read it, I think you should. To be completely honest, I really enjoyed it. I was surprised because some of the stuff that has come out recently, I've enjoyed, but it's been like, I don't know, is this really worth my time? Or is this just a remake of something else? This was pretty unique. Now, the whole time they're on board this ship, I will say there's a few things that I was a little disappointed with. One, there's no epilogue. Lots of these Star Wars stories have an epilogue that lead to like another story or lead to another part of the universe that connect somewhere else. This one did not, and it was very disappointing because the story had built up quite a lot about potentially Thrawn, potentially the new First Order, or potentially something else. And I was like, okay, well, the epilogue will give me information about what that stuff is, right? This guy that I mentioned who had this plot against Princess Leia, he really didn't. He had a buyer, and it's like, well, who was the buyer? Who was the buyer? Now, this will all make sense when you read the book, but like, I'm sitting there and I was really disappointed. Like I yelled out when the credits started rolling. I was like, no, this is wrong. Where's the epilogue? And my wife's like, there's not always an epilogue. And I'm like, no, with Star Wars, there's always an epilogue. I'm pretty sure. Anyways, I was disappointed by that. 2, this is Han and Leia on their honeymoon. Now, I don't want to see or read about the actual creation of Ben Solo. That's not what I'm getting at here. But Han is a scoundrel. There needed to be way more like inappropriate jokes, right? I feel like the author, Beth Rivas, or Revis, I'm not entirely sure how you say her name. I feel like the author did a fairly good job of like walking that line. Like there's definitely some moments where you're like, all right, they got a little busy. And it's not like, it's hinted at instead of like directly stated, right? Because let's face it, that'd be kind of creepy, right? It'd be icky. It would be I feel like the right word. But there should have been a lot more like subtle innuendos. I don't know.Maybe it was just me when I was getting married and I made a lot of those like type jokes. I don't know. But again, it was an enjoyable book. Overall, it was really interesting. So let me read it out to you. I'm going to read the publisher's summary. You are cordially invited to the wedding of Princess Leia Organa and Han Solo. The Death Star is destroyed. Darth Vader is dead. The Empire is desolate. But on the Force Moon of Endor, among the chaos and changing galaxy, time stands still for a princess and a scoundrel. After being frozen in carbonite, then risking everything for the rebellion, Han is eager to stop living his life for other people. He and Leia earned the future together 1,000 times over. And when he proposes to Leia, it's the first time in a long time he has a good feeling about this. For Leia, it's a lifetime of fighting and doesn't seem truly over. There's still work to do, penance to pay for the dark secret that she now knows runs through her veins. Her brother Luke is offering her the chance one that comes with family and the promise of the Force. But when Han asks her to marry him, Leia finds her answer immediately on her lips. Yes. Yes. 1,000 times. Yes. She doesn't say that, but like it's implied. Yes. Happily ever after doesn't come easily. As soon as Han and Leia depart their idyllic ceremony for the honeymoon, they find themselves on the grandest and glamorous stage of all, the Halcyon, a luxurious vessel of a very public journey to the most wondrous world in the galaxy. Their marriage and their peace and prosperity it represents are all the lightning rod for all, including an imperial remnant that's still clinging to power, facing their most desperate hour. The soldiers of the Empire have dispersed across the galaxy, retrenching on isolated planets, vulnerable to their influences. As the Halcyon travels from world to world, one thing becomes abundantly clear. This war is not over. But as danger draws closer, Han and Leia find that they fight their best battles not alone, but as husband and wife. Bow, chicka, bow, bow. I don't know. I feel like that was added right there at the end. Overall, I would say this is like a 4 out of 5. Now, typically, I do give Star Wars a pretty big pass when it comes to when it comes to storytelling, right? Because it follows a pattern. And as long as the author doesn't like butcher the pattern, it's fun. It is a fun book, right? Is it life-changing? No. Is it canon-changing? A little bit, maybe, kind of. I don't know. Am I reaching when I say that this is implying that Thrawn is there? Yeah, probably. Probably a big reach. I don't know. I really enjoy it. Now, gotta say, if you're interested, local library first and foremost, guys. If your local library doesn't have it, check out Audible. In the link below, 1 month, 2 free books of your choice. You can get this for free. Don't sign up. I mean, if you sign up for free, right? You help the channel. I get a little bit of a kickback. It's kind of nice. But at the same time, you get 2 free books, which is great, right? Now, I'm not telling you to create multiple email accounts and have multiple Audible accounts, because if you do that, that feels like it'd be wrong. Also, it feels like if you did that and forgot to unsubscribe, you're going to be paying out the butt. I mean, that's a lot of audiobooks, right? That is not worth it. But signing up for free, trying it out, finding it at a local library. I mean, I think I saw this at like Kroger, or not Kroger, but like Smith's, which is like my version of Kroger. It's there. It's out there. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it. What do you guys think? If you're interested, leave a comment in the section below. Like, subscribe, share. This has been Thaddeus from Going Nerdy. And as always, my friends, smile and stay nerdy.